Hey everyone, the Portrait here. And it's a crazy time and I hope everyone stays safe. So for this drawing, I specifically started in a way that better convey what I'm thinking or how I think about drawing these days. And one way to think about it is this. If you only had maybe 10 to 15 minutes, can you draw something that provides enough information for a sculptor to get started? And for that sculptor to understand what structure you are going for. And while I do have a reference, this method obviously is not about copying it over bit by bit, right? Which is another style that is perfectly fine and has its place, and I have done it. And depends on what result you are looking for, you might have to use the other method. But what I'm doing here is about examining and drawing the larger structure first, and add details later. And this has a few advantages. It is usually faster, it is more organic and stylized. It works whether you are using a 2D reference or have a live model in front of you, or if you are imagining and trying to bring that conceptual art to life. I guess one of the most unique things about artists is that we get to pick and choose what to emphasize and how we present our drawing from our unique point of view. While if you stay extremely faithful to a picture, then the camera, which captures everything generally equally, becomes your master instead of a reference or a guide. So the reference image is on the screen. It is copyright free, but it is really not the best reference because lighting is a little too flat in the front. And since this is not a celebrity, I don't have to worry about likeness that much. Okay, so I'm just gonna play the video back at a slower speed and comment on the first 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, so for this reference image, this is pretty much a profile shot. So her right side is pretty much facing light, which is why I said early on it is very flat. But there's a little bit of her other side of her face that's in the shadows, so it's not a perfect profile. It is there's a slight angle which provides some structural information that you otherwise would not see. If you look at her nose and if you look at the way I'm drawing this image, you can see that I deliberately drew some lines to show you the planes on her face. The bridge of her nose, her forehead, they're pointing towards one direction. The side of her face points to another direction, as well as the side of her nose. It should be pretty intuitive to most people, three-dimensionally, what is going on here. And that's what I'm talking about early on. If you only have a few minutes to draw something out, for a sculptor or a 3D animator, they should be able to tell what's going on very fast and in the early stages of the drawing. So now you should be able to recognize very easily which way, what are we drawing, right? Which direction this figure is facing, and what the general proportion is. And there's no details at this point. Details can be very interesting to look at, but relatively speaking, they are, on the easier end compared to everything else. I could spend 20 hours enjoying every strand of hair, but then the question is, why? I just want to make sure that, generally speaking, all the features are in correct ratio to each other, and the general pose is there. Regarding the hair, sometimes it is very important to the composition and the character of the drawing, and sometimes it is not. In this case, it is fairly important, and I spent some time to make sure that the structure of the hair is also there, at least proportionally where the edges and everything are. Especially there's a middle dividing line where the hair is clearly parted two ways. Another thing is that for certain pictures or for certain drawings, there are certain structures that usually may not be as important, becomes more and more important. For example, in this one, her head is turning to one direction, but her body is towards the light, is completely different direction. And this turning of the neck makes that, oh god, I'm trying to pronounce this word, sternocleidomastoid. Close enough. Which makes that muscle really important for you to describe in your drawing. Otherwise, the anatomy is completely off. And any lines and details that I'm putting down now, or well, no details, but any lines that I'm putting down right now, my main focus is about proportions. Because details you can always just add later as much as you want. But you don't want to screw this part up, the proportions. Because that part you can't really change once if you screw up too much. So the rest of the video is really me just playing with tone values and adding details as I see fit. I'll speed this part up, and I hope this short commentary was able to provide some helpful insight to some people. Any future topic suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments. A big thanks always to my supporters and patrons. Without you guys, I cannot make these videos. And thanks everyone for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Cheers! Thank you.